We're here with Eric Adams, Borough President of Brooklyn. Nice to be here with you today.
Thank you.
Eric has been leading the charge in Brooklyn to try to make the city a better place through initiatives from electric vehicles, charging stations. I saw an article about that, and all the way through plant-based activism. So I saw recently you got this Meatless Mondays initiative going. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, it is our opportunities really to start people off one step at a time towards a healthy lifestyle and healthy eating. And we want to focus on our children and focus on people who are in hospitals. The Meatless Mondays initiative is going to be a citywide initiative where schools are no longer going to serve meat on Mondays. And it's so important because, really people sort of flip out, oh my God, where's my meat? And they're going to realize after having a Monday where there's Meatless Mondays, they're going to realize, hey, I woke up on Tuesday. This is not the center of my life. And we believe it will lead to Meatless Mondays becoming Meatless Tuesdays, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays. And people are going to see the power of not feeling as though they need meat. And then when you look at the hospitals, we want people who are in hospitals to start to make the connection. You are in the hospital because you're sick, and we want them to have a duh moment, that you are sick because of your overconsumption of meat, and really start to understand how meat is playing a role in everything from their hypertension to heart disease to diabetes and so many other areas. And our goal is not only to have people go meatless in the hospitals, but hand them information while they land in their hospital bed, have videos shown what a healthy lifestyle is and how it's just not merely a talk or conversation. This plant-based eating is not a hippie thing. It's the real thing about saving the environment, saving ourselves, and saving everything that inhabits the earth with us.
Have you encountered a lot of pushback for these policies, the Meatless Mondays?
Yes, we have, and it is expected. And if you build in a paradigm shift without the understanding that it's going to come a very realistic way and not an idealistic way, then you send yourself up for failure. People see meat not only as something that they consume, but it's built into their culture. People self-medicate themselves with meat, going to grab fried chicken from a store. Meat is something that has been fixated with pleasure. And if we're going to turn around that conversation and not expect people to have withdrawals anytime you're addicted to something, then we're setting ourselves up for failure. And my goal is not to talk down to people, but to really educate people and let them see the benefits, particularly the health and emotional benefits that comes with eating a diet that is not oversaturated with meat.
Is it already going to happen, or are you still working to get it to be approved?
No, this is going to happen. The conversation started approximately 2 years ago with the Deputy Mayor of Health, and through the persistency of speaking with the mayor over and over again and telling him about the power of really how we have to be forward thinking. We can't live in a level of hypocrisy. You can't call yourself a progressive city, yet we're doing regressive actions every day because we are fixated on believing meat must be the center of our lives. And so the policy of Meatless Mondays in school is going to happen. The policy of having meatless consumption or using meat less in hospitals is already underway. We did an announcement where individuals will have a vegan item on the menu that they can choose, and it is a way of really turning around this conversation on meat.
Cool. When does that start? When is this going to be implemented?
The Meatless Hospital Initiative is already in place. The Meatless Mondays is already in place also in the city, in schools, but we're going to do a formal announcement in the next couple of days.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yes, it is.
That's awesome.
One of the largest school systems in the country. We serve approximately 986,000 meals a day. And when you look at the number of meals we serve a day, those meals are feeding our health care crisis. If we turn around not only the food that people eat, but also the habits that they are developing inside their schools, we can make a major impact on our environment as well as a major impact on the health of the people that live here in the city.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about how you got into plant-based eating and your story behind it?
It's an evolution, and I believe sometimes we feel as though we are buried with some form of illness or some form of terrible moment in our lives, and then you look back and retrospectively we realize that we were planted, and that's what happened with me. I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and it was at a very severe state. As I always say, men, you have to pull and drag to the doctor before they realize something is wrong with them. And oftentimes when there's a visible sign, you are in the late stages. And that's what happened to me. I was experiencing a lot of pain in my stomach. It wasn't connected to diabetes, but it was connected to an ulcer. And when I went to investigate that through both the colonoscopy and a check of my stomach, it was determined that I had a small ulcer, but the real issue was my diabetes. And at the same time, I was experiencing vision loss in my left eye, and my right eye was going as well with nerve damage. They told me it was permanent in my hands and feet. And the doctors basically stated you're going to lose your sight. In about a year, you're going to lose some fingers and some toes because of the severity of the nerve damage. And that put me on a pursuit of that. I like to say I did something extremely scientific. I went to Google and Googled reversing diabetes. And it was amazing to me that I didn't put in living with diabetes. I didn't put that into my search. I put in reversal. Something in my spirit told me that I didn't have to be on medicine the rest of my life, and that this disease called diabetes, there was a way to reverse it. And so much information came up. One of the important individuals that came up was Dr. Greger, who had a book called How Not to Die, Dr. Barnard, who had another book, Reversing Diabetes, and Dr. Ellerton, who had Preventing and Reversing Heart Disease. And I gave Dr. Ellerton a call. We affectionately call him Dr. Essie. And I traveled to Ohio to the Cleveland Clinic and visited him. And he simply told me that you could reverse your diabetes. And after doing so, 3 weeks, returning to the city, going on a whole food plant-based diet, cold turkey, I was able to go that route, and my eyesight cleared up in 3 weeks, and my diabetes went into remission in 3 months. The nerve damage went away, the ulcer went away, there was a normalization of my blood pressure and all the other areas. It was just a total reversal of the condition that I was facing.
Wow. So you came in through the health route, came into plant-based eating for health reasons, as a lot of people do. Did you find over the time since then that you found other benefits and other reasons that you like and that you appreciate being on a plant-based diet?
Yes, so many. I believe that in addition to what happens to you physically, I feel that something happens to you emotionally and spiritually. It sets you on a path in a journey that you probably don't realize actually exists. As long as you are overweighted with the bloatedness, with the lethargic feeling, with the lack of purity in your mind. And so as I started to delve into whole food plant-based, I was coming up on different articles about veganism, what veganism is, animal torture, animal rights, what is happening with animals, the cruelty. I started to see that when you're eating the soul of a living being, you are also internalizing all the trauma. When that animal is killed in front of another animal, that trauma goes through its body. And it just was starting to connect on the lack of clarity that I was feeling. And it's amazing to me how things are always in your spirit, because prior to going to whole food plant-based diet, I was a state senator. And when I was state senator, I led a protest at Prospect Park, one of the largest parks in Brooklyn, to protect the geese because we were killing geese, and I just felt that it was wrong. When I saw a mother geese swim by with her babies, it was no different than the mother who was walking through the park with a stroller in her babies. There was something that I saw that showed when you took the life of that mother geese, you were also traumatizing and turning those baby geese into an orphan. So being an orphan, being traumatized is not a unique characteristic only to human beings. Living beings are traumatized based on actions, and I just knew I didn't want to be part of that traumatization back then, and this just further showed that I was on the right road and the right path.
Wow. I wish we had more politicians with that kind of empathy and compassion. That's hard to find in politics these days. Do you feel that meditation has affected you in terms of developing more empathy and compassion in that way?
Meditation is so powerful, and I always found it amazing that psychiatrists were the only doctors that never examined the organ they was trying to fix. The examination of the mind and what neuroscientists and neurologists are doing to show us our brain waves and show us what happens in our brains when we are in a state of meditation. It just was really important to me. I'm a type of person where I like to look at the science to fully understand the connection. Although there's some things outside our reach that goes beyond science, I like to explore that. And when I started to look at how do I go further, now that I'm eating right, I want to know not only do I deal with the physical body, but I wanted to really start examining what do I do with the anatomy of my spirit. How do I make the parts of me that I don't see become more healthy as well? And that's what I saw in meditation. And meditation allowed me to really silence my mind and see what is important about, number one, not being so caught up in the past and not being so caught up in the future, but to be present in the moment and understand that living a life of fear is as destructive as actually going through that fear. And meditation has shown me that, and has shown me the importance of compassion and the importance of knowing that all beings matter. And no matter what we do, even when you consume plants, we should consume it in the manner in which we are respecting that plant, respecting the person who grew it, respecting the person who transported it, the person who picked it and harvested. It's all about showing the amount of respect as it goes into our bodies, that it is playing a role to nurture us and give the respect to those who are impossible, who made it possible. And I think of all of that as I'm meditating. I think about prior to going to that meditative state to give thanks to all those who allowed me to even consume the plant-based food that I consume.
Wow. What was your path into meditation? When did you start, and what tradition did you start using? I
started some years ago after seeing men who came back from war were going through some real PTSD, emotional issues, and I sponsored a person who introduced transcendental meditation, what I use. He introduced it to the vets, and they started telling me how different they felt about going into meditation and how it helped their PTSD. And I really didn't understand PTSD, and to be honest, I didn't respect the thought of PTSD because I thought it was just something was in the person's mind until I started delving into it and realized that the body doesn't know the difference between going through trauma or thinking about trauma. The same physiology that happens when you do it materialize, and you don't have to be on the battlefield of Afghanistan. You could be on Alabama Avenue right here in Brooklyn and relive trauma every day. And from doing transcendental meditation and sharing with other people, having them understand the trauma they're living daily and how they're in this perpetual fight and flight mode. And you may not see the erosive aspect of it, but it is the erosion that is taking place every day, and it's corrosive, and showing the only way you really can reverse it is to do meditation. And I found that meditation to be powerful to assist me in the very challenges of being a borough president and seeing all the trauma all day, every day, and realizing that you must go internal to strengthen what's external.
Yeah. So I see that you have some mala beads. Is this something that you picked up after you started meditation, or what was the story behind that?
Yes. I must, in my previous lifestyle, I must have been from the Asian, because I'm attracted to Asian art and Asian cultures. And I have several beads that I use when I'm meditating. And I also, when I go away either to China, the Orient, or to Middle East, I like to pick up different beads while I'm there as well.
Yeah. So you're now running this campaign to be mayor of New York, which I really hope that you succeed in that.
Thank you.
And I wanted to know kind of this, you've come through this like epic path, sort of this hero's journey. You started out, well, I don't even know where you started before. You were a police chief, a police captain.
Yes.
Right, and then you became the borough president. Well, you were a senator, and you were borough president of Brooklyn, and
Yes.
now you're running for mayor. I want to know, like, how did this whole path start? Was it through altruism? Was it like wanting to make the world a better place? How did you end up on this path, and where do you hope to go with it?
I think that much of this journey started many years ago when I was a young man, and the negative encounter I had with a police officer. And I believe if you live long enough, you're going to have the misfortune of experiencing pain. And the only question we really have as human beings is, how do you turn pain into purpose? And I found that I had to do that. And sometimes in order to get out of something, you have to go in. And it becomes therapeutic when you stand for something that is important. And I stood for something important in my policing career, and it was extremely challenging, but I felt that the city could effectively keep people safe without treating them in a disgraceful manner. And I led the voice in that. And from that came a political opportunity to run to become a state senator, where not only I would enforce laws, but now I can move to the area of actually writing laws. And that led to the office of borough president, where I'm able to do real policies that will impact the lives of people. What we're doing at Bellevue Hospital by having a plant-based clinic, we have the opportunity of changing medicine in this country. I think it's representative that Bellevue is the oldest hospital in America, and we're starting the first plant-based clinic in that hospital. If we're successful, then the conversation about disease is going to change. We will start talking about, it will be foreign to us to talk about living with disease when you can reverse disease. So that's exciting for me. And this is all, I believe, a continuation of a journey. Remaining committed, remaining dedicated. Understand that your terrible moments is not who you are. Who you are is what you consistently move through. And there's some good days that I wish, and I was happy I got out of bed, and there's some bad days that I wish I would have stayed in bed. But the reality is the accumulation of all those days that's going to make a lifetime. And I'm going to do all I can to make this lifetime as complete and fulfilling as possible.
Yeah. What do you hope to accomplish if you become mayor?
So much to do, but there's so much we could do if we are committed. And as the mayor, I would like to change the landscape of the city. Every school building will have a rooftop garden where our children will learn the powerful urban farming, which we have ignored. Our schools would clearly, in this city, we have mayoral control, where the mayor is in complete control of the school system. We will not have anything on the menu that is harmful to children, and there's no way you can have processed meat in the school when the WHO has classified as a type 1 carcinogen. So you will see a complete removal of that food. You will see real salad bars, not canned goods, where you would give children food that is bad for them. We would start building habits. and understanding that we must develop the whole child. We will start our day. Every child in the public school system will start their day with 20 minutes of meditation, so they can deal with the healing process as they start their day and will be effective in the process. We will look at how we have a holistic approach to education. There's no reason we cannot show how many apples does it take to make a salad. That is math. That is a way to do so. There's no reason that having a course on geography cannot talk about where does a banana come from, what country. So we can be creative and teach people in a real way. And then we will look at our hospitals. I will clearly institute disease reversals. There are new medical journals that are coming out, the first of its kind, that talks about disease reversal. Never has it been done before. We're going to be the leader in this city of bringing in those doctors that are embracing the concept of disease reversal. How do we reverse disease in a proactive way? And I'm going to lead the way in doing so. Then we would tackle some of the tough questions, environmental issues. If you want to deal with tough issues, you go to the source of those issues. Let's stop tinkering around the edges and deal with fossil fuel burning when one of the number one causes is dealing with our overconsumption of meat. We will have an honest question about that, and this will be a place where we will address it. And I think most importantly, what I want to do as mayor, I want to borrow from what I say all the time. I want to borrow from the Matrix. I want to be a red pill guy. I want to see beyond what the blue pill people are doing. Too many people in government are blue pill people. And that's why we are remaining where we are and we're stagnated. I want to be the red pill like Steve Jobs and iPhones. I want to be the red pill like Henry Ford's and not doing a faster horse but build a car. I want to be a red pill guy like Elon Musk that's build houses on the moon so we can start to build cities in the sky. There are red pill people in politics, and I know I'm one of them.
Yeah. Thank you for this interview, Morpheus. Eric. It's really good to get to sit down with you and talk to you about this stuff. I know you have my vote, and I hope that we can put you in that position so you can implement all these awesome policies.
Thank you.